does Bollywood shy away from making movies that...
Markdand for any kind of film. So now there's not only Bollywood, there is Gollywood and Follywood and Tollywood and God knows what else. But it never has had any connection to real life. There were movies made by the early works of Mr. V. Shantaram, some of the early Marathi movies, which talked of progressive ideas about widow remarriage, about love between Hindu and Muslim neighbors, how to reform criminals, etc. But even those movies conformed to the formula of how to make a movie. There's got to be a song every now and then. It's got to be emotion laden. Shahrukh Khan commands.
Especially now, post all the trouble that...
Exactly, yeah. And I must say he conducted himself in a very dignified manner.
He was very
I haven't seen Pathan. I don't think I'll see it. Because there's really nothing in the promos which makes me feel, wow, I got to see this. Whereas there is several other movies where I do feel that way. But
except that Shahrukh has a presence,
yeah,
and the narrative, the narrative of his subjugation comes through quite well.
And the clever thing that he's done is not identified the character as belonging to a particular religion.
No. Yeah.
And that was the smartest thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a great time pass or whatever. But I don't often see it for time pass.
Can they take, or what steps can they take to speak up or something? What stops them from speaking up?
What stops them from speaking up? Fear and insecurity. The level of insecurity in our biggest stars is quite astonishing when you encounter it. And they do everything that they can to counter it. They fear they have too much to lose. And perhaps they do, but my question is, if you lose a couple of endorsements, how much will that impoverish you? If you need to... Either they're afraid or they don't agree with the point of view that something is seriously rotten in the state over here. There are plenty of them who do believe that this is the golden age that we are living through, and they are entitled to their opinion. And actors don't feel, by and large, that they have any social responsibility.
Recent Allahabad court case, High Court case against the Tandav web series, and the producer was accused of blasphemy. And were you afraid about such kinds of to both of you? Such kind of a response, and what the cost of this would be? I mean, the cost of being accused of this, I suppose.
It didn't happen till now. So my film is over. I mean, I made this film, it was screened, people have watched it. Now I think nothing will happen to this. I
think Bengal probably has something to do with it. Because if it was being shot in UP or then the guy comes in, maybe.
That is true.
Then I'm not sure how rationalism. How does it affect your approach to being a part of a film like this in times such as these?
I was brought up in an Orthodox Muslim family where my parents did their daily worshipping and reading of the Holy Book, and we were taught to try and read the Quran, which was torture for us, but we did it, and I thank my stars that I did it because it familiarized me with the Arabic alphabet, and therefore I've learned to read Urdu since then. But I always found religious concepts, at least the ones that I was told, slightly ridiculous, even at the age of, I think, 4 or 5. I remember arguing with my Maulvi Sahib about about him saying that the earth was flat. And my father would chastise me for doing this. Don't argue with the Maulvi Sahib. But I'd say, but he's talking nonsense, Baba. or is what they're teaching us in school nonsense? You tell me. How can the earth be moving? If it were moving, to phir yahan se wahan nahi pahunch jate. And this kind of stuff. There's one divine soul who sits up there and who's noting down he must have a really busy day. I often wondered, how does he keep track of every single person on this earth? I found this very hard to believe. I did read the Bible in school. I went to a Christian school. I have read parts of the Ramcharitmanas and I've read bits of the Quran. And all I can say is that they were written by great writers. Whether they're divine revelations or not, I'm not getting into that area, and I'm not getting into an argument about that. I do not know if they were divine revelations, but they are great literature.
Yes.
And I think that being exposed to the sounds of the Arabic language and the Latin language and the Sanskrit language early in life has helped me immensely in my diction. But religion has never played an important part in my life. I remember one day when I was without work very early, around 1975, I'd done one film and I was not getting any other work. And there were days when I went hungry and there were days when I went penniless and so on. And one day I was so desperate that I said कि चलो नमाज पढ़ता हूँ, शायद कुछ सुकून मिल जाए मुझे. And I did the wuzu and I spread out the janamaz and suddenly I said, what is this nonsense? What am I doing? Am I going to buy sabzi? I'm going to buy alus and tomato. I'm going to barter with the old man. I'm going to say, I'm going to praise you and you do something for me. No, this kind of bargaining I don't get. And since that day, I have not prayed except in gratitude. That's the only kind of prayer that I consider to be important. My family did not have a problem about my marriage with Ratna. None of them criticized or said that you're living in sin or anything of the sort. So it has never figured in my life. It's only now that I'm becoming aware of my identity as a Muslim, which I never was.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's a terrible thing.
I think the India we grew up in,
And I used to wonder when the Maulvi Sahib said all Muslims will go to heaven and all non-Muslims will go to hell. So I used to wonder why will K.C. Singh, my best friend, go to hell? He's a hell of a good guy. He likes his parents. He's an obedient chap. He's a good student. And why does he have to go to hell? And I'm going to go to heaven with all my flaws. The hell would be far more full of interesting people, I'm sure.
It's like Paradise Lost. No, Satan is a really interesting figure in Paradise Lost.